at some point you will end up there, yeah, if you don't die in between. Hi, in this video I want to talk about how you can imagine the way of learning Taijiquan Practical Method, or any other art in that doesn't matter which one. Yeah, it's basically always the same. Some ways are shorter and some are longer. So in Taijiquan the way is pretty long. So it's important to know what I'm saying now. So Shifu Chen Zhonghua explains it in the one or other way. I remember him telling this in different analogies, and here's another one, and it has to do with this here. It has to do with the Alps, with mountains. So the analogy is like this: if you want to start to do Taijiquan Practical Method, then it's very important to know, like, roughly what the way is. The only thing is that you cannot possibly know the way. So imagine that you have no map or anything. The only thing you have is so this video is actually a map. Yeah, you could say this video is a map, and you can say that. So all you have is a teacher, a guide who let's suppose. So I'm in the north of the Alps, and I want to go to Italy. So I have to pass the Alps, and I know I want to go to Italy. I don't know the way. I don't know where I have to go exactly. So in this video there is a short map, an outline of what you can expect of the way. So you have a guide, and you know this guide. So there is a very big question: does the guide know the way? So this is important. Let's say he knows it. In Taijiquan it's simple enough to tell it, because once you experience, let's say, my Shifu Chen Zhonghua, once you experience what he's able to do with you, when you're standing there and at some point you're lying on the floor and you don't know what happened, and you see it with lots of people, and there are videos about it and stuff like that. So you know that he can do something that I cannot do, that many people cannot do. So you know that this teacher, this guide, knows, let's say, the destination. Yeah. Why I'm saying the destination, it's a guide, so maybe the guy was there and came back somehow, but he forgot the way. So this is also possible, because you train and you maybe don't know how to get there exactly, if you're whatever the reasons. So what's also important is to know somebody who knows how to get there. So this is a guide, and this is a teacher. The teacher always knows how to get somewhere in learning, in gaining abilities, proficiency in such and such an art. So Taijiquan. And the analogy is like, let's start with the analogy now. The analogy is, you want to go to Italy from here. So you have a teacher, and the teacher says, oh wow, this is quite easy to go to Italy. It takes a little bit of time, but it's simple. Just go on top of the mountain there. So in the beginning, you just go to the top of the mountain and say, so what's next, teacher, guide? He says, no, let's go down on the other side. Okay, yeah. So I trust you. And then you go up and down and up and down, and at some point, so there's one point during the study or the way to Italy, is where you ask yourself, what the heck am I doing here? Like, does the guy know the way, or does he just send me up and down the mountain all the time? It's not just a point, but it's like on the way. It's just a phase, a short phase where you ask yourself this question, because I could just pick this mountain here, and I could go up and down and up and down, and would be the same thing, wouldn't it? So yeah, obviously it does. It's not the same thing, because this way is to Italy, and you go up and down and so forth, and at the end you end up in Italy. And so in this analogy, it's like you first go up the first mountain, and the second and third, and then you ask yourself the question. And it's a good question. I mean, does the teacher knows the way, the guide knows the way, but we also already like we already covered this. So we say the teacher knows the way, and during this point, it can happen that you say, you go down the mountain, and then you should go up again, and you say, but I don't know, this one doesn't look so good, and it's very steep, I could just go over there. There's a nice church, it's pretty flat, not so engaging, it's much simpler to go there or here. I could just go there. And generally this is okay, but then you end up somewhere else, and you want to go to Italy. So over there, it's not Italy. This is just some other place. And the thing is, like, during the study, during the way, you have like we are here. I mean, this mountain, the higher one, is like I think 2,100 and something meters. So it's high, but there are much higher ones. Because this is like, I mean, we are in the I don't know the way the world, but you could say the pre-Alps or something. Like, it's not so steep, it's not so high. It can be steep, but it's not so high. And then you reach the main Alps, where you have really high mountains, like over there in Slovakia, and you see the higher mountains, where there's like 2,500 up to, I think, 3,000 or something. I don't know exactly, but don't get me on this, because it's just detail. But the thing is, so first you have the smaller mountains, and you need to go up and down the smaller mountains, and then you go to the bigger ones, And what happens is that even in the smaller ones, like, they are easy, and then you ask yourself the question. Maybe you just ask the question in the higher mountains, but what happens at some point is that you first ask the question, and then at some other point, maybe, you get a glance on Italy, because you're at some peak and you see down, and you see the landscape and stuff. It's different in here, so you see all that. Maybe just in it's very far, maybe, and then you see it. So you have a peak of your destination, and okay, I wanted to go there, and then you have a different motivation. But the way up until this point, it's super hard. It's not hard, like you need to go up steep mountains and go down. So this is like, you need to have lots of, let's say, strength or something, but you can just go up, so it's very simple. But trusting the guide to bring you there, trusting the method, like in practical method, you have the method of arriving somewhere, going somewhere. You practice foundations for many years, and then at some point you realize changes. And so this is very, very, you can get lost, let's say it like this. You can get lost because you ask yourself the question, why am I doing this? I'm still not able to do what Shifu does. And I'm still not in Italy, and we are not even close to Italy. I mean, we're just going up and down, and we are not even, this has nothing to do with Italy. So you need trust in your teacher, in the system, and as I said, this can be applied to many arts, but we are talking about Taijiquan Practical Method right here. So, or going to Italy in that matter. So, at some point you see Italy, and then you have to go down again, and you don't see it again, and you think maybe again, oh, what I'm doing here. But I saw it. It looked nice. Next time you go up, you're on a peak. Then you're you're closer. So now you don't only see it, but you know that you're closer to your destination. And so you get closer and closer, and at some point you will be in Italy, I guess. But yeah, I'm not there yet. But I see my destination. So this is something that I can say that happened like maybe just this year. I have been on some peaks where I like between other peaks saw Italy, but now I can clearly see it. Like I had I was in January this year. We have 2020 now, so I was there in China on Dajingshan with Shifu, and thanks to Corona, I had lots of private time with Shifu because there was nobody else. So in the beginning there was Chenju, which was like also great because we were practicing like 3 days in a row. We were just practicing. Then he had to go somewhere else, and so I was just there with Shifu and learned lots and lots of stuff. And this brings me to another thing. Let's come back to the map. You know, you have this map. Now you know roughly how the way will look. Like you don't know exactly the peaks, you don't know exactly the path, but you know what can happen on the way. You can get lost, you can get frustrated and stuff. And for me, this was like I think maybe because Shifu asked me this year that he's wondering why I'm still continue to do this. So when I started doing this, even before Practical Method, when I started doing Taijiquan, I asked somebody who was already doing this for a long time, and he said, I didn't ask him for this, you know. I just asked him how is it to be a teacher, and you know, can you live on it and stuff like that. So I'm not living in it, so I can talk whatever. But he actually had a school. He still has a school, and in Germany. And he said to me that he explained to me that there are like phases, and it's the same like the mountains. You know, you have phases where it's going up, and then you have the stagnation phases. This is what he said. And so the stagnation phases, that's why I'm using the mountain example. I like it much better because the stagnation phases where it's like there is flat in a curve, you know, in a diagram. The curve goes up, and there you have a flat curve, and then it goes up again, and then a flat curve, and up and again, and so forth. So this is in the mountains you go down because it sometimes really feels like a down. So you learn let's say the positive circle, and you do something like this. So this is an upwards move because you learn this, and now you know, okay, I know the positive circle, you know, and you learn the first 13, and then you learn the ilu. So you learn and learn and learn, and you have it's like not saturated. I think that's the word, you know, and you learn, and then it's saturated. Like then your mind is doing something with it, and this feels like actually it was a flat curve, or it's going down. Like you do this all the time. Let's say for 1 year you're doing this, and then at some point you think, oh, I was doing it correctly, and now I don't know, I forgot how to do this. But you still do the same. The difference is that that you realize that you're doing it wrong because your hand comes in, and now you think, oh, Shifu always says that my hand shouldn't come in, but But then you realize, and you always think that, oh, my hand is not coming, or you just don't care. So there are many possibilities. But then at some point you realize that your hand is coming in. You know, this cannot be. So so you think, oh, damn it, I knew it already, now I forgot it, now I'm making some mistakes. But this is actually face. The flat or down faces are like, you're actually, I mean, if you go to Italy, when you go down, you still go towards Italy. You know, this is the thing, and you cannot, you need to know that this is a good thing. You're still closer to your destination. So now you correct yourself and you say, okay, so my arm cannot come in. How can I correct? So let's say I'm just doing this, you know, then my fingers point outwards all the time, you know, that roughly. So, and then you practice this again, and so now you're learning something new. You learn new aspects of the art, and although it's still wrong, you still have, now you have the upward curve. You know, it's not only this move. You just, you know, then you realize in the Ilu you have also, like, oh, in the Ilu I was doing it all wrong, and now I have to include it into my Ilu, that my hands are actually, my fingers point outwards. And at some point you realize, okay, my finger points out, my fingers points outwards, but my hand is still inside. So now you're working on this one, and whatever, this is details now, but and so this is still a good way, because the faces where it's flat, where you feel stagnation, or you feel it's going downwards, are still bringing you forward. And it's funny because in Tai Chi you have the saying that you never retreat. Like, even if you think it seems your arm comes in, it seems you retreat, but actually something else is going in front, so you gain. So this is similar, but this is another story. Like, I don't want to be too detailed. And now, so you reach some points where you see Italy, and you are like more motivated to get there, because at some point you feel the changes for good, and to, you know, that there are good changes and not just frustration. And this can be, you know, you have to love those phases. You need to accept them, and you need to know that it's a good thing. So I hope this brings you, you know, if you want to start doing Tai Chi, or you're stuck somewhere, I hope, this is why I'm actually recording it in English. I'm usually, now I try to just the German videos, but I think this is, like, there's lots and lots of talk about technique and stuff from other like Tai Chi brothers and sisters of me, and also of course from Shifu himself. They're all in English. But now this recording should be something like you hear something what Shifu says from another person who kind of, like, not kind of, but I actually experienced this. You know, I'm in the phase of getting there, and as I said, I see Italy in the far now, and I had this breakthroughs and the downtimes. And before actually going to China this year, I had like I was in a deep valley somewhere. And then when I came to China, the body was still, you know, when you practice in those phases, it's still something is happening. So you need to continue doing it. That's basically the thing. If you continue to do, even if you're very slow, if you continue to go towards Italy, at some point you will end up there. Yeah? If you don't die in between, but that's another story. So just continue. That's important. You have a rough outline of how the way is, and I guess it's like everybody has the same way, like roughly, you know, it's an outline. So if you have your analogy about this, share it in the comments. I would, or send it to me. I mean, I don't know where to post them, so it would be better to have it in this video as comments. Most likely I will write it down somewhere, because I'm very interested in how other people, also from other arts like singing and dancing and you know, rowing, whatever, like they're experiencing the way. And some ways are shorter and some ways are, you know, if you want to play guitar, like you take some lessons, like say half a year or 1 year, and you can play some songs, and maybe that's where you want to go. You just want to learn to play some songs, and you can also, you know, you can come to Tai Chi and you only want to learn the form, you know, and you want to do this in the park every morning. You don't want to be like super excellent in it. That's also okay. This is your path, and you need to know where you want to go. If you don't want to go to Italy but to France, there's another way. Maybe it shares some, you know, something, but it can be. It's simply another way. If you know your way, then you know, if you have like your way, then it's okay. If you want to go the specific way where you want to learn exactly this, then you need a teacher to guide you there. So yeah, let me know what you think about this, my analogy, and maybe you can add yours to this video, because it's very interesting. Very often there are aspects that like I didn't think about, but I experience it. So this helps me to explain it to others that are learning from me, and because this is now in the comments, hopefully, then others can read it and can see those differences of how you perceive it. I personally, I'm very interested in this. Yeah, so this is roughly it. I hope you liked it. So yeah, I don't know if there will be any other English contents. There sure will be some, but yeah, so this channel is mostly German. But I will also explain some technique. Maybe you can just watch. But I mean, as I said, for English there's like, you know, there are so many others that are doing English videos. So keep on practicing whatever arts you're doing. Just continue. Remember, you want to go to Italy, and then just go towards Italy. And get a teacher. It's very important, because if you don't have a teacher, you get lost very easy. Okay, so thank you for, if you listened this far, thank you for it. I hope it helped you. Okay, cheers. Hi, so this is, did I actually, yeah, I started it.